Today, we're going to talk about smart labor solutions from JBT Prime Equipment Group, a set of solutions designed to streamline labor efficiencies and integrate machines with smart technology. These solutions can help transform an existing production line or create all new systems from the ground up. Let's start with the basics. What is JBT Prime Equipment Group Smart Labor? First, it's an all-new approach to integrate existing machinery in a production line and streamline labor. Using smart conveyors, robotics, vision, and bins tagged with RFIDs or QR codes, smart labor reduces errors, speeds production, and allows labor to be redistributed to other areas of the plant. Smart Labor is a partnership between JBT Prime Equipment Group, with more than 30 years experience in the poultry industry, and DCM, a Spain-based integration partner with decades of experience in automating food processing systems. Finally, smart labor is the future of automated processing, focused on the promise of Industry 4.0. Now, Industry 4.0 is a popular buzzword these days when it comes to advanced systems and robotics. The 4.0 part refers to the fourth industrial revolution. The first was mechanization with steam power in the 1800s, followed by the second, which focused on mass production. Think Henry Ford and the Model T lines and the forward leaps in manufacturing that came after that. The third level involved computerized automation, which you'd commonly see starting in something like an automotive manufacturing plant, which spilled over into many other industries. And that brings us to Industry 4.0, which focuses on making the robots and cyber systems more integrated. Industry 4.0 is aimed at taking the robots, smart conveyors, and product handling solutions and making them all talk with each other so they can essentially make decisions based on what they're handling, where it goes, and what speed it's coming in. With JBT Prime Smart Labor, the results can be sweeping. Consider the case of Procavi, a turkey producer processor in Spain. They were looking at a small automation project with DCM. DCM realized that incorporating smart labor throughout the processing plant could have a tremendous impact on labor production and throughput. The project scope quickly expanded and smart labor solutions were brought throughout the plant. The result, smart labor technology not only reduced labor by the 30% target, but even with that labor reduction, output from the plant was doubled. That's a pretty amazing result, and it shows what's possible with smart labor. But enough talk. Let's take a look at what smart labor solutions look like in the wild. Here's an example of weighing and quality control of trays. In this installation, smart conveyors and trays or bins of product are being moved and evaluated. You'll note that the conveyor lines are up high, keeping them out of the way. And here we're using vision and RFID tags to determine the contents of the bins and route them in the correct way to the correct places. Here's a look at palletizing robots. These are large robots designed to gather up and place bins full of product. You've got smart conveyors that know what is in the bin, and it routes them to each loading station. And that's where the robots pick them up and palletize them. This is an automatic buffer for trays. A lot of times you have product that is coming in too fast or needs to be stored in for a short period of time before being shipped out. This is a vertical system designed for maximum use of floor space. The computer knows where every bin is. It knows what every bin contains. And when the call comes for a certain mixture or a certain output, the buffer takes the equipment or takes the product and moves it. Here it's being added to a hopper This could go for making sausage. This could go for pack out. It could go for any number of solutions. We also do complete lines. And this one, we're doing human volumetrically filling trays at the station in front of you. And then the trays move along to packaging, sealing, and finally to pack out. Obviously, as you look around, there are no people between the machines. The machines know what they're receiving. In this case, they're being sealed, they're being quality checked, and they're being labeled. And then here at the end, we have one person stacking. This is a little bit more complex, robotic slicing line. This one takes crushed frozen product and slices it. You have individual people loading it, and the robots themselves handle the work from there. The nice thing is you get the same size cut every single time with no variation. And the machines obviously don't get tired. They don't call in sick. Here's a closer look at the volumetric filling of trays. Here the machine has 3 hoppers and opens the hoppers when the trays are ready underneath. When you put it all together, you've got a plant that operates very efficiently with minimal labor needs. Here's a quick test case. This was for a customer that wanted to use their existing equipment, which you see in the top picture. And depending on what comes out of the former, to package, to freeze, package, seal, and QC and box out and palletize. This particular project was done for a turkey customer, but obviously the technology works just as well for other types of protein or non-protein. Before this project, there were 19 staffers involved in this process. Afterwards, there were 5. That was a savings of 14 people. Here it is in action. These are bricks coming from the former, obviously. They go to a shuttle conveyor that aligns them on a second conveyor. It's maintaining the proper spacing, which will be important for packaging. Here they are going into a crust freezer and coming out, some quick quality control. Now the conveyor uses an optical system to know exactly when the brick is arriving, and it will deliver a tray underneath it at the right time. The trays are automatically denested in the background there. The tray is held for the arrival of the brick and then moved forward down the line. Then they're sent to differing pack out stations, or different sealing stations, I should say. They're stacked. Obviously, the system knows that is waiting for a second. And then from there, they're sent to a palletizing robot to pack them in boxes that are automatically fed into the robot area. You start to see what is possible with smart labor. Here's a few other solutions. This is patties, can be used for beef or turkey or chicken patties. The patties come out of the former. They're automatically loaded into trays that are waiting, stacked. And then moved down the line. Jumping ahead a bit, there's a number of different ways you can handle the patties, whether it's coming out in a single file or spread out. This is the tray denester that automatically takes trays and feeds them to the conveyor. Can do the same thing with bricks. And then automatically load into trays. And then this is a patty stacking robot. This particular operation is surprisingly difficult for robots to do. The release of the product so that you get a straight stack is a little bit of the trick here. Here's a meatball solution. Obviously, taking meatballs, putting them in these conveyor trays, which moves them down the line where they will be packed and sorted later. This is using suction. You'll notice that in loading into the trays, the process also adds a piece of plastic in between the two so that they don't stick together. Then they're staged moving down the line. Typically, this is a very labor-intensive process because it requires a lot of fine work. This is something that's very unique. This is an automatic cone loader for a chicken cone line. And it is designed to replace the person who is tasked with placing a chicken front half on a cone. So it starts with a conveyor that's designed to singulate the product. So this takes front halves from a hopper and then deposits them on a conveyor belt with a little bit of space in between them. And from there, they go into the vision unit. Now, what the vision unit does is essentially takes a picture as it moves through and compares it to an ideal and identifies the orientation. That'll be important to know how to grab and place the final position. You'll see the bin that's right next to the conveyor. If it doesn't recognize the proper orientation, a flapper arm will kick the chicken front half back into the conveyor to be sent through the system again. Obviously, it's wash down capable. Everything controlled from a master control panel for washing, for maintenance. Overall, a very impressive solution. Now let's talk for a minute about chaotic storage. This buffer system, which you saw briefly before, allows for the incoming product to be stored for long periods of time or short periods of time. The idea is that the computer knows exactly where everything is. And in this formulation, say you're talking about a sausage making plant, which has different recipes, different amounts of product, different product will have different fat contents, and you know exactly what you need to do. You can store all of the ingredients and then pull them out exactly as you need them. And the machine can actually formulate the recipe through the hoppers. And this works in very cold environments like a freezer or refrigerated environments. Box packaging, gathering and moving and loading. Automates a very repetitive process. And you can even do, prior to this, you can add a QC vision machine for the labels and double checking the product quality itself. Here's the robot's view of the action. And depending on what product is on each pallet, it can be loaded to one of the various lines so that you are, in fact, sending all different products to one pack out station and then sorting them as you pack out. So here are just a few of the other solutions that we have. Let's talk for a minute about how we work with you. So if you have a process that you need to streamline, you need to make better, improve the throughput, get in touch with us and we will evaluate how you're doing things now, suggest ways that it could be done with fewer people and more machines, We do full layouts of the project. We work with you to make sure that the scope is achieved. And ultimately, we wind up with a system that is highly efficient and very often can not only reduce labor, but increase throughput as well. There's experience in chicken, in pork, in beef, and there's really no process that can't be improved with smart labor. So at this time, that's a quick look of our entire smart labor solutions and lines. And we're going to take some questions. So I'm going to let this video run a little bit. And if you take a look at your screen, you'll notice a Q&A button. It'll be either at the top or the bottom, depending on what system you're using. If you click the Q&A button, you can type in your question and we'll see it and we will answer it. While we're waiting for those to come in, some of the questions we're often asked, how long does it take to evaluate a project? That can usually be done in a day, sometimes more, but usually a day, depending on the scope. We have a number of solutions and we have a lot of experience in how they work together. So on our end, it's looking at what's available and seeing how they can be chained together to do what needs to be done. In some cases, there may be a process that we don't have something for. In that case, we make it. Very often, we wind up producing all new components for a smart line. Another question we get a lot involves the maintenance on the systems. Generally, it's very good. The system is smart enough to know when something is not returning the right signal. If a vision eye is out or a system is not returning the right information, the master control panel will let you know. It's all washdown capable. We've got these systems running in scores of plants in Europe and also in the United States. We have several installations since we've been working together. So there you have it. That's an overview look of what we can do with our JBT Prime Equipment Group Smart Labor Solutions. If you would like to get in touch with us to discuss further, contact your JBT Prime rep or visit our website at www.primeequipmentgroup.com. Thanks for joining us today.